This video is going to demonstrate how to sew a shanked button on. A shanked button, it's not about the front. The shank is about the back. This is why we call it a shanked button. On the back side of the button, there is this structure that you can sew through. Oops, it's a very small button, having a hard time holding onto it. That's called a shank right there. Instead of having holes all the way through the button that you sew through, this button gets sewn on by that structure on the back. We're going to learn how to do that. So you'll need a piece of muslin, a threaded needle with a knot, your shanked button, and a pair of snips. You want to take your muslin sample and fold it in half with the short sides together, so you have a nice square piece of muslin that is 2 layers thick. For this sample, I recommend sewing through the fabric once before you deal with the button. So, knowing about where center of the fabric is, you'll want to come from the back side all the way through. And there you go, see the knot there? Now at this point, you can pick up your button and quite literally pass your needle through it, and then it's on the thread. Excuse me. Now at this point, you are responsible for sewing your button into the right place. To do that, you have to consider the thickness of this shank. Since my thread came out there, I want to go back through my fabric about as far apart as the thickness of that shank is. So I'd say about that far. Sorry, let me move closer to the center of the frame. And when you pull this thread down, you'll see your button just sort of flip into place. And there it is. You've already got it, ready to go. Shanked buttons are pretty straightforward. So now you'll go back to the back side and pass your needle through the fabric where you first sewed, and it comes out on that side like that. And at this point, you just pass your needle through the shank and go back through the fabric where you've already sewn before. Just aim for that same spot. Now you've sewn through that shank twice, and you're just going to do the same thing again. You don't even have to flip to the back. You can poke your needle through until you see it in the right place. Can we see that? And you'll pass your needle through the shank and back through the fabric. You'll want to do this about 4 or 5 times. Let's go one more for good measure. And to finish off, you just go to the back and then tie a knot like we're used to doing. Pick up a few yarns. Draw your thread down to a small loop. Pass your needle through it, and there's your knot. Once again, picking up a few yarns, passing through the small loop, closing the knot. Trim your thread off. And now you've sewn a shanked button.